All right, so Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. So I am Nur Asni Syahriza binti Abu Hassan, and I am representing Akademi Pengajian Bahasa UiTM Kedah and also Institut Kepimpinan dan Pembangunan ILD UiTM Kedah. We would like to welcome everyone who is with us today with yet another session, but this time about writing and possibly understanding poetry. Play with Words, Voice of the Soul, Volume 2. So maybe you are wondering why Volume 2, and I think Puan Sharina has the answer. Later she will share with you. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce you to our speaker for today, who honestly has inspired me to actually start writing poetry again. So our speaker for today is Puan Sharina Saad, who is currently an English lecturer at Akademi Pengajian Bahasa UiTM Kedah. Her research interests include learner autonomy, indigenous folktales, poetry writings, gamification, and writing skill. And I believe she has wide range of she has wide knowledge and experience and a range of achievements when it comes to poetry writing. So let me share with you. Her first poetry book, The Colors of Love, was published in 2011. And other publications of her poetry can be found and read in her website, Hello Poetry. And she does write in other poetry websites, such as All Poetry website, Poetry Poem website, Kavishala website. And she has her own poetry page called Magical Words of Poetry. Some of her achievements include last year in Arau Poetry Festival, she won Gold Award for her poetry, Tales of the Aslian Nation. Okay, and in 2022 also, she won the Best Script for Poem Writing in Arau Poetry Festival for her poetry Bahlui. And her most controversial poem was Love Me Before I Die, because there was a claim in Twitter and that said it was written by Nobel laureate Rabindranath, until a journalist from India contacted her personally to confirm that it was never written by the mentioned name before, but it's actually written by our very own Malaysian poet, Puan Sharina Saad. Her poem, My Mama's Chicken Rice, was chosen to be the best poem in Singapore Poetry Month last year in 2022. And her poem, A Rose, was chosen to be listed among 9 of the classic and contemporary poems about roses. Another poem about cupcake was selected to be among the 15 tasty cake poems in aestheticpoem.com. And another poem, Perfect Skin, was used for advertisement, Green Glow and Waxing Company in New York and Whole Green Skin Spa Company. That's really something, I believe. So let's now invite Puan Sharina for her session today.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, and I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar, Playing with Words, Voice of the Soul, Volume 2. And thank you, Puan Asni, for that introduction. And I still believe that I am that small poet in the poetry world, okay? Because I believe that there are many out there who has the talent, who has the capability of writing poems, but it's just that they don't want to shine. Okay, so I think after this webinar, I would like everybody to shine. Okay, let's shine together and write our poem and share it to the world. Okay, I have shared mine and I've been recognized by in some poetry websites, and I have also published my book. And last year, we have had one poetry webinar where I encourage people like us, all of us, to write a poetry, and we have actually successfully able to publish our poetry book. Let me show you the book. Okay, the title of the book is Voice of the Soul, Volume 1. Okay, so it was a great success, I think, because I was able to share my passion in writing poetry with many people, and they contributed to this book. So for all of you who have contributed to this poetry book, I would like to say thank you, and I would like to encourage you to write again for this volume 2. So Voice of the Soul have been published in ebook, and also this you can see in my hand here in physical book. And to encourage you people who are here today to write more or to write poetry, I have this poetry written especially for all of you. Okay, and also I hope after listening to this poetry or after reading this poetry, you feel you have the inspiration to write a poetry. Okay, I would like to recite this poetry to all of you as a start. Okay, so this poetry title is Voice of the Soul. Hear the voice from within. Hear the voice of your soul. Hear the voice of your conscience once more. Let your soul calls your brain. Let your voice whispers out loud. Tell your fingers to pen them down. Amazed of what you can do when you pen your voices down. A word of magic makes two. Those words are lyrical. Those words are magical. Those words are original. Let your voice be heard, my friend. Let your voice be known. If you have the faith to strive, no one will really hurt you wise. Be the change you want to see. You have the power to turn your destiny. Be the voice of your soul. Okay, I dedicate this poem to all of you. And I hope by the end of our webinar today, everybody can proudly call yourself a poet, because in this webinar, we are going to write a few poems, and I'm going to bully you, be ready, to write a few short poems. And from these short poems, you will improvise it. And then in the end, you will be able to submit it in the Google link prepared by us, and we will publish it in Voice of the Soul Volume 2, inshallah. And I would like to share with you also one good news that actually on the 1st of March, we had a ceremony, a book launching ceremony of our Voice of the Soul. Okay, now I would like to share with you what happened during that book launching ceremony. Okay, so the book launching ceremony was launched officiated by our Timbala Rector Academy. It was launched on the 1st of March. And during the ceremony, we actually invited some of the poem contributors, and they actually shared with us their poetry recitation virtually. They sent us the videos and we showed it during the ceremony. And some of us also recited the poem live during the ceremony. And I was feeling very proud at that moment, because when they recited the poem, they mentioned that my poem can be found in page 33. The title of my poem is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so whenever they recited the poem, they mentioned the page of the poem in this Voice of the Soul Volume 1. Okay, so I think the poet would feel proud of themselves that they have actually, they have successfully published the poem. Because before this, during webinar 1, some of them mentioned that they have actually written poetry, but they were feeling very shy. They felt so lack of confidence to share it anywhere, or in the social media, or in their Facebook, or anywhere. So they just kept their poems in their books, or in the diary, or in their handphone. Okay, so now I would like you to share your poetry. Okay, so it's not that I know we are academicians, we are encouraged to write academic writing. Of course, we do write academic writing and we do publish in journals. But maybe during our free time, when we feel stressed or when we feel bored, we can spend that some time to write a few lines. And that few lines can actually be upgraded or be improvised to make it, to turn it into a beautiful poem and to be shared with many people who are also poetry lovers. Okay, so this is a little story of ours. And from this webinar too, I hope that we will again publish another book, volume 2, so that we will have more writers write the poetry, and it can actually be used as your in your My ATP in creative writing section. Okay, I think many has actually benefited from the previous webinar. So this time, perhaps it can help you again. Okay, so it is like a win-win situation. We have this webinar, maybe give you a few tips on writing poetry, and you can learn something from this webinar and then write your poetry and submit to us, and voila, we can have a poetry book, and you can also use it for your pangkat or whatever. Okay, because you have that publication in creative writing. Okay, so now let me start by asking you 2 questions. Okay, are you ready? Okay, my first question is, have you ever written a poetry? Okay, if you have, just say yes. If you are first timer, you have never written, just say that you have never written. Okay, you can answer me, you can turn on your speaker and answer, or you can write in the chat box. Have you written a poetry? I would like to know my audience. I would like to know whether you are, you have written a poetry before or you have never written a poetry before. Can you respond to that question, please?
Many are answering yes, Kak Sherry, in the chat box.
Okay, yes. Okay, good. So I have many participants here who have actually written a poetry before. And may I know what happened to that poetry? Have you published that poetry? Have you shared that poetry somewhere? Okay. If you have, try to answer my next question. It is not here on the slide, but I would like to know, where did, what happened to that poetry? What happened to that poetry that you have written? Can you answer it in the chat box also? Asni, can you check the answers by our participants?
Okay, we have some funny answers.
Okay.
Gone with the wind, lost.
We have Gone with the Wind, Lost, Missing in
Because some
Action.
of them wrote when they were in secondary school.
Okay. Do you still
one
have that
from
poem? If you have written
lost.
something, oh, you lost it. Okay, lost it. Okay.
So one answer in Voice of the Soul Volume 1.
Okay, good.
Eventually becomes my Instagram post.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Okay, that's great. If you have published in VOS 1 and then it became your Instagram post, you should be proud of it. Okay, now you can call yourself a poet. Okay, and those who have written and still hiding your poem somewhere, and then, or you lost a poem, maybe this is the time for you to write a new one. Okay, all right. So don't worry. Throughout this workshop, you will learn to write. You will have to write. Okay. So my next question is, which poems and poets are your favorite? You must have your favorite poem. You must have your favorite poets. Okay, can you share with us also? Okay, can you please write in the chat box also? I would like to know, maybe you have your favorite poem or maybe you have your favorite poets.
Okay, one answer from Siti Rabaa, Maya Angelou.
Oh, Maya Angelou, yeah, that is my favorite too.
Encik Azlan Abdul Rahman, Puan Hajjah Sharina Saad. I think mine too.
Thank you, Encik Azlan. Okay.
I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Natasha Zuhaimi, Lang Li. Sherry?
Lang Liam. Lang Liam. Okay, that is my daughter's favorite poet too. Okay. So many of you may you have your favorite. Of course, if you are a poetry lover, you must have a certain poem that you love, and then you may follow several poets, maybe from the classics or maybe from the contemporary era. Okay, all right. So we go next slide. So to answer the number 2 question just now about poem and great poets, I have this poem prepared for you. Okay, so I will read this. Or maybe Asni should read this poem. Okay, Asni, can you read this poem for us?
Okay.
All right.
Shakespeare, Keats, Frost, and our own A. Said. Great men, great poets. But what do you lesser mortals want to read? Simple words? Simple phrases? Some of you, just like me, can work out the difference between a green salad and a metaphor. But that doesn't matter. We cannot, because we write with love. No pretentious ideas of lasting glory. We write primarily for you, for us. We write because we love words.
Okay, thank you, Asni. All right. So maybe some of you love the classical poems or the poets from the classical era. Okay, so I think from our secondary school also, when we attended secondary school, we learned this Shakespeare, Keats, Frost. Okay, we learn all this, and we also have our very own famous A. Said. Okay, and then when we were in the secondary school, we also learned poems from A. Said translated into English. Okay, so these people, they are great poets. Okay, so to become great poets like them in a split second or in 1 or 2 years, maybe it is possible. It is impossible and possible at the same time. It needs you need to have a great talent. Okay, I think. But it doesn't matter. If we cannot be a Said, it doesn't matter. We don't want to write to be Shakespeare. It doesn't matter. Okay? So you can start by writing simple words. You can start by writing simple phrases. And then you ask your friend to read. Okay? And maybe your friend can help you to beautify certain words. Okay? Change it into a more suitable vocabulary, or maybe your friend will suggest that you can end your poetry like this way instead of the previous one. Okay, like Asni used to do that with me. Okay, Asni now she likes to write poetry, and she always asks me, Kak Sherry, can you read my poetry? Okay, I will always read, and I will always praise her first, and then maybe I will suggest some changes here and there. Okay, all right. So maybe some of you do not understand metaphor. Okay, for you, green salad is green salad. Okay, but for people who are poets, maybe green salad can be about them talking about people who are vegetarian, or maybe about them talking about caterpillar. Okay, but for you, a green salad is a green salad. Okay, but that doesn't matter. If you do not understand metaphor, that doesn't matter. We cannot, because you want to write with love. Okay, you do not force people to. You want to write poetry, you have to learn all these metaphor, figurative language, imagery. If you force all this to the person to start to write a poetry all at the same time, maybe they will run away. Maybe they write for the first time and they will not write anymore because you keep criticizing them for not being able to use all these poetry writing styles, or not writing poetry in rhyme. Okay, so if you keep criticizing people's poetry, then people will lose their interest in writing poetry. So don't worry if you do not understand metaphor, you do not understand imagery, whatever, but try to write with love, because you like to write. Keep on writing, and you will see yourself that as you keep on writing, you will improve. Your poetry writing skill will improve maybe the first one will not be so good, the next one will be better, and maybe the third one will be, wow, it's a great poem. Okay, so today, why the title of our webinar is Playing with Words? Because I want to let you feel it, how to write with love and how to love words. When you write, you feel that you love the words that you use in your poetry. Okay, so that is why we call it Playing with Words. All right. Now, my next question. You know that some of you here, you have written your poetry. So some of you have never written a poetry. Some of you have written a poetry and you have lost it. You don't know where it is now. Okay, so we have a few categories of audience. Okay, we have few categories of people in our audience. So tell me everything that you know about poetry. So what do you know about poetry? Can you share with us? Can you write something in the chat box so that I know whether you have that knowledge or you do not, or you what you already know about poetry. I want to know what you already know about poetry, or maybe you have the idea of poetry, but you have never tried it. Okay, can you share with us in the chat box everything you know about poetry? 1 minute. Share. Do we already have responses, Asni?
Not yet.
Okay, they are writing, I think.
Okay, we have one.
Okay.
Abdul Azim Mahda, a form of expression. Poetry is a form of expression.
Okay, good. Poetry is a form of expression. You want to express your feelings. Okay, so you write a poetry.
Poetry is personal by Amalia Christina.
Yes, poetry is your personal thought. Okay. Yes. Okay. Good
To
answer.
motivate self.
Yeah, you can also motivate yourself. Okay. For example, like today you don't feel motivated at all. So you write something to motivate yourself. Okay.
Okay, another one. I like this answer because I also think the same. By
Okay.
Zaharia, poetry is a story to tell. Because I think sometimes we cannot be direct, so we use poetry to be indirect, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you want to say something indirectly, so you don't want to say it directly, so you write in poetry. So there are hidden messages, perhaps there are hidden things in your writing. So poetry can also be about current issues. Okay, for example, you are very observant of the current situation, what is happening maybe in your country or what is happening in your society or maybe in your family. So you can write about that as well. Okay, and maybe to educate people about something. Or maybe poetry also can be a sheer pleasure. You just write for pleasure, for the fun of it. Okay, because you love to write poetry, you write for pleasure. Or maybe you can write a poetry to make somebody be happy. Okay, you see that you have a friend who is feeling down that day, so maybe you write something to cheer the person up. Okay, so basically that is what poetry is all about. Okay, to express your emotions, you express your feelings, to educate someone, to motivate. You have also inspirational poem. Okay, all right. So today we are going to deal with all these kind of poetry. Okay, so I would like to inform you that to write poetry, what you need feelings. So of course, we all have feelings, right? We need feelings, emotions, and descriptions. Okay, sometimes when you are sick, you can also write poetry. I remember when I was in a hospital, I was warded recently. I was feeling sick and I wrote one poetry there. When you're feeling hungry, you can also write a poetry. Okay, maybe while waiting for your order, you can write a poetry. Sometimes when you're feeling scared, feeling naughty a little bit, or feeling bored, or feeling angry, all you need is the correct words to express those feelings and emotions. Okay, Come on, let's play with words. All right, so what are we going to do today? Firstly, we are going to review words or vocabulary that related to poetry. And then we will do activities, some activities about poetry writing. So be prepared. If you have pen and paper, you must have pen and paper. Be prepared. I will ask you to write. And you may have iPad. You can write using your iPad also. And after that, we will be sharing. And I will ask you to read aloud your poetry. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to share and read aloud your poetry today? Can I hear you? Yes or no?
Allah, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, all right, good. Okay. Now, so the real agenda is understanding the elements of poetry. So I'll be introducing to you elements of poetry. During the first webinar, I encourage you to write poetry, and some of you were first timer, and I allow you to write anything or free verse poetry. Okay. But this time during this webinar too, I will teach you some poetry techniques, okay, and some elements in the poetry. If you want your poetry to be beautiful, to be of a quality, perhaps you can follow certain techniques, okay. So today, you will be writing parts of poems to practice basic element. After I teach you one element and then we will do the practice, I will ask you to write, okay? And then throughout the workshop, you will have to write, and then you have to recite your poem. We encourage each other, okay? When you recite a poem, we will listen to it, and perhaps we can have like a voice, what is that, like we listen and then we criticize. We don't want to criticize, we give words of encouragement or suggestions, okay? And then at the end of the session, look at your poetry again, and then maybe you would like to improvise it and then submit to Voice of the Soul Volume 2. Okay. All right. So first term that I would like to introduce during this workshop is lyric poems. Okay. So lyric poem, it is more to classical type of poem. Okay, normally in lyric poem, poets write a sonnet, elegy, or ode. So these are the classical type of poem. Okay, I would like to inform you again that lyric poem or sonnet, elegy, ode, this is under classical type of poem. Okay, so in classical type of poem, normally the poems are rhyme poems. Okay, and normally lyric poems are short. The expressions are spontaneous and it is short. The mood has some melody in it, melodic and emotional. And the writer uses words that express the state of mind at that moment. Okay, for example, that morning, you feel strongly about one issue, okay, and then you start to write. Just a short one. But even though it is a short lyrical poem, but it has powerful meaning or very expressive type of writing. Okay, but it is not telling a story. It is rather you express your perception about that issue for that day or your feelings for the particular moment, during that particular moment. Okay, and what about the length? Okay, some people always they think that lyric poem should have 4 lines. It can be shorter than 4 lines. It can be 2 lines. Okay, so if it is more than that, if it's lengthy poem, then it is not a lyric poem anymore. Okay, so mostly lyric poem is 4 lines. Let's look at the examples. Okay, not the example yet. I would like to share with you the characteristics. Okay, let's look at the characteristics of a lyrical poem. Okay, afterward, you're going to write this lyrical poem. So make sure you really understand what a lyrical poetry is. Okay, so the characteristics are, firstly, it uses simple words. Okay, why lyrical poetry use simple words? Because they want people to understand. Okay, making it easier for a general reader to understand. Okay, and what about the content? Okay, content is always subjective. Okay, so people cannot predict actually what you are trying to say. Maybe you are not happy about something, you are writing it in an expressively, but people actually know what is the issue related to that poem. Okay, and they are intimately connected to the poet's thoughts and are considered private expression. So that is why, like one of the participants just now said, poem is personal. So that is your personal thought about something. Okay, and lyrical poem is rather musical. So that's why I said lyrical poem belongs to the classical era of poem. Okay, it normally has it rhyme. Okay, it has its rhythm. Okay, and it is a poem that rhymes. And normally in this lyrical poem, it has the musical element in it. Okay, for example, here I would like to share the word alliteration, consonants, assonance, or onomatopoeia. So these are the sound of the poem. When you read, you can actually feel the beat of the poem. It gives lyrical poetry a musical structure. Okay, and lyrical poetry, usually you can see the passion of the poet. Lyrical poems are intensely passionate. Okay, let's see some example. Let's look at Sonnet 18 by Shakespeare. That's why I mentioned a lyrical poem belongs to the classical era. Okay, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaf hath all too short a date. So if you notice, it has its rhyme here. Day, May, temperate, date. Okay, I call it ABAB. Okay, but however, it is not a formula to follow. You can also has a rhythmic poem in a different kind of rhyme. Okay, for example, like look at this sonnet 43. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight for the ends of being an ideal grace. Okay, so here it is ways and grace. In line 1 and line 4, it rhymes. Line 2 and 3 rhyme, height and sight. Okay, now Sonnet 19 by John Milton. When I consider how my life is spent, here half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent. Okay, line 1 and line 4 rhyme, spent, bent, white, and height. Okay, and look at this. I tried lyrical poem before. So look at my poem. Telling you I will survive. Mine is more to contemporary era. Okay, this is classical era, but this is contemporary era, but trying to follow the classical era sonnet. Okay, with rhyme. 4-line short poem, expressive. Telling you I will survive. Look, I'm still alive. You have a new toy for another season. I'm saying goodbye now. Do I need a reason? And I posted it. And somebody is saying, what happened? Is Sherry having problem with her marriage? Okay. Actually, it's not about that. Okay. People will keep guessing, what happened? What happened? So it is something, it can be about a friend. It can be about something else. Okay. So this poem, Survive and Alive rhyme, line 1 and 2 rhyme, line 3 and 4, season and reason. Okay. So how short is short? Okay, just now I mentioned lyrical poem should be short. Okay. And normally it's 4 lines. But I also said that it can also be shorter than 4 lines. If it is longer, then it is not lyrical poems. Okay, I have tried this poem with my student. Okay, the title of the poem is You and Me. I would like to share this poem with you, but just now I tried with Asni. When I click here, you can't hear a sound. So I will have to stop sharing first then I will share with you again, because I want you to listen to this lyrical poem more to the contemporary era, not the classical era. Okay, but it is a lyrical poem. Okay, I will stop sharing first, then I will let you listen to this poem titled You and Me. Okay, You and Me. Where is that? You and Me.
Who are those people sitting?
I got the lock. You give me key. Look at us. Just you and me. I got the lock. You give me key. Look at us. Just you and me.
Okay, so that poem title was You and Me. Very short poem. I got the lock, you got the key. Look at us now, just you and me. So it is a lyrical poem in the contemporary era. Why I call it contemporary era? Because it doesn't rhyme. Okay, so we like to try to write one lyrical poem. It can have 4 lines. It can have 2 lines. It can be rhyme. It cannot be rhyme. It can be rhyme. It also up to you if you want it to be rhyme or you don't want it to be rhyme. Okay, but it is about your feeling at this moment. Okay, your feeling at this moment. Can you try to write it? But hold on, I would like to show you this poem. This is a short poem, but very meaningful. Okay, can somebody from the audience or one of the participants try to recite this poem, and afterward we can talk about this poem. Then later I want you to try to write one lyrical poem of your own. Okay, right? Can somebody volunteer? Can somebody from the audience like to volunteer? This poem title is Mask. It's about people who are wearing masks, but there is a metaphor behind it. Anybody?
Sorry, we have Siti Rabah.
Okay, Siti, thank you so much for volunteering. Can you please read this poem?
Assalamualaikum. Kat mana ya poemnya?
Oh, you can see it? Oh, hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. Okay, can you see the poem now?
Yes.
Okay, the poem title is Mask. Okay, can you try to recite this poem?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Masks. She had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. They searched for blue their whole life through, then passed right by and never knew.
Okay, this is,
that all?
yeah, thank you very much, Siti.
Most
Thank you.
welcome.
Okay, all right, so this is a short poem. Okay, it belongs to the lyrical type of poem in the contemporary era. However, it has a very powerful meaning if you can understand this poem. Okay, can you tell me what is your understanding of this poem entitled Mask? Don't worry, there is no wrong answer. Poetry is open for interpretation. If you look at the poetry again, it says that she had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. Both of them are wearing masks, and they don't reveal themselves. They search for blue their whole life through. They passed right by and never knew. Okay, so what is your interpretation of this poem? It has no direct meaning. If people read it, people will like, what is he trying to say actually? Okay. Okay.
Okay, Sherry, we have answers from Cik Azlan. It's about marriage life. Searching for soulmate, hidden thoughts or similarities, looking for a partner from Nadia Yayode. Looking for a partner but too ashamed of his or her own identity. By Siti Rabaa, they didn't really know each other. Amalia, both were in a state of loneliness but kept it within.
Okay. So these two are wearing, actually putting a mask. They don't reveal themselves so much. So, but they keep on searching without knowing that actually, if you read from here, actually they also have some similarities, but because they don't want to share it, so they never knew. Okay, maybe you can also interpret it that way. But I like that. I like Encik Azlan interpretation. Sometimes you never know what is on the mind of your spouse. Okay, what is the other person is thinking about you? We don't know, right? So, okay. I would like you to try to write your first poem if you are first timer, or I would like you to write your first short lyrical poetry. I have 3 pictures here. You can choose any of it. But if you don't like my picture, it's okay. You can use your own. Okay. This is a short one. You can have 4 lines. You can have rhyme. You can also have the modern type of poetry. Contemporary type, it doesn't have to rhyme. Okay. So it's up to you. You have 5 minutes to write. You can choose the first picture. Remember, it should be short but meaningful. It should be short, passionate. It should be short but powerful. Okay, it has image in it. So the first picture, or the second picture, or the third picture, you can choose. So later, when you share your poem, I would like you to mention the picture that you chose. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. Okay, you have 5 minutes. I will call you after 5 minutes. Asni, afterwards, our participants, they have to present their poem live.
Okay.
So how many more minutes do we have?
We have Rosita. Can I choose the second where to share? I have the poem. So maybe live?
You can share it live. You can, if you want to write it in the chat box, you can write it, but you have to recite it live also, Rosita. Okay, maybe in 2 minutes we call them. Is it okay, Asni?
Okay.
All right. So in 2 minutes, you will have to recite a poem. So every poems that you have written during this webinar, I would like you to keep it, yeah? Don't lose it, keep it, and then perhaps you will improvise it later to submission. So we will share how to submit your poem at the end of the webinar. You can write your 4 lines in the chat box. And then if you would like to volunteer, then later everybody can share your poem, can recite it. Remember, it's time to shine. Okay, are we ready? Do we have a participant who would like to volunteer to recite a poem already?
Maybe we can invite Rosita.
Rosita, would you like to recite a poem?
Problem nearby there's some connection, so boleh dengar tak?
Can, we can hear you. Rosita, can you please introduce yourself first before you recite a poem?
Okay, I'm Rosita Mingin from Faculty of Business in UiTM Jengka.
Okay, all right. Which picture you chose?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Second
Okay, all
picture.
right.
Okay. It's about the title is Heart.
Heart, okay.
One day the heart desire. That's construction, so
It's
the
okay,
next
it's okay.
is in fear. Later on is on fire. Is in fire. Heart needs and require.
Wow, okay, that is a great poem. That is a good poem. It is 4 lines. It is about heart and it rhymes. The first is desire, is it?
Yes.
Desire. And the second line you have, can you read your second line again?
It's fear. It's about fear.
Desire, fear.
Fear
And then the third line is
is in fire, on fire, or in
on
fire.
fire. And then the fourth line is
Heart needs and require.
a heart needs a require, which is true. Okay? Okay, congratulations, Rosita. You have written a good poem. Okay? So keep it. Later on, maybe you want to add to it so that it can be a longer version and you can submit it to our VOS volume 2. But it is a good lyrical poem. Okay? Congratulations. So can we have another presenter? Do we have another participant who would like to share? You're right. Maybe you already have your poetry.
We have Ikil Dania, Kak Sherry.
Okay. Come on, Ikil Dania, would you like to introduce yourself?
She shared her poem here in the chat box.
Okay, if you are shy, it's okay. You share your poem in the chat box. Asni will do the recitation. Okay. Okay, Puan Asni, can you recite that poem?
Okay, this one is from Ikil Dania. How I wish I can throw you away. How I wish I can tell you are a stranger to me. How I wish I can tell I hate you in your face, but we are related by blood. Oh, how I wish I can.
I guess she chose picture number 2. Right?
I think so too.
Okay. You want to cut ties with someone, but you cannot because the person is your sibling, maybe. Am I right? Dania, is it? Am I right? Is that what you are trying to say in your poem? I think so too. Okay.
Okay, another one, Siti Sharina, Kak Syari.
Siti Sharina, would you like to recite your poem yourself?
All right, hello, Assalamualaikum. Good morning.
Waalaikumsalam. Yes.
All right, I'll try second pitch.
Can you introduce yourself first?
All right, hello, I'm Siti Sarina from UiTM Perlis.
Okay.
All right, I'll try.
Okay, no problem. Which picture?
The second one.
Second one. Okay.
Yeah. The world changes and drags with time. Relationship clings to the sound of chimes. Tangled and woven, love or hated. Living will hurt either way, leaving one battered.
Wow, that is good. You have it. You have line 1 and line 2 rhyme. Okay, it rhymes, right? And then line 3 and 4 also it rhymes. So you belong to that classical era, lyrical poem in the classical era. You have that rhythm in your poem. Okay, congratulations. Keep that poetry, please. Okay, perhaps you would like to submit it later on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Do we have another presenter? Asni.
Yes, our very own Cik Lan.
Okay, come on, Encik Azlan. All right. Encik Azlan, would like to recite your poetry?
I will give the privilege to Asni to read it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so which picture did you choose?
Just number 3.
Number 3. All right. Lonely.
Okay, go Nini.
Is it about loneliness? Me and me.
Me in me,
Me
looking
in
for
me.
me.
Okay. Me in me.
In me, looking for me, inside of me, confusing. That's it.
So Azlan's lyrical poem belongs to the contemporary era. You have 3 lines which rhyme, and then the 4th line is like asking a big question there. Okay, asking a big question. Are you confused, Encik Azlan? Or are you okay now? You confused?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great here.
Okay, all right. So I think let's move on to the next one. So congratulations, those who have shared. Okay, I think those who don't want to share, they still feel shy, but I know you are writing it down, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next one. So I would like to introduce to you the next vocabulary in poetry writing, which is called anaphora. Okay, so what is anaphora? So anaphora is the repetition of words or phrases in poem. Okay, some poets, they like to repeat words or phrases in the poem for the effect of it, or they want to emphasize something. Okay, for example, I took this from Taylor Swift's song. Okay, Taylor Swift is famous for writing lyrics, and for writing lyrics which can actually be a poem as well, lyrical poems. Like, okay, so and Taylor Swift's song mostly, you can, if you notice, it has a lot of metaphors, figurative language, and here it has anaphora. Okay, this, I don't know how to sing this song. This is good. This love is good. This love is bad. This love is alive back from the dead. So here the word this love is being repeated. Okay, and here another one. I have been her, I have been she, I've been them, and now I'm me. So here I have, right? And another one. I know the loss and I know the gain. I know that we all bleed the same. The word I know is being repeated. Okay. Right. So in this poem, love me before I die. Okay, I will share with you too at the end because I don't want to waste time, because I will share this again at the end because I have 2 things to mention about this poem. So this is the controversial poem that Asni mentioned just now. Okay, because some poem lovers said that it was never written by a Malaysian writer, but some wanted to confirm that it was written by me. Okay, it was actually written by me. So in this Love Me Before I Die, the repeated phrase is when I die. And then stanza 2, when I die. And then stanza 3, when I die. Okay, so it is being repeated, not for the fun of it, it is for the effect of the poem. Okay, so hold on. All right. So can you try to write anaphora poem? Can you try to write just 4 lines with repeated words or repeated phrase? Can you try that? You can use it I have or I know. You can also use this love. You can have your own. Okay, can you try now? Maybe 4 lines, short poem with repeated words or repeated phrase. Okay, another 5 minutes, I guess. When I'm happy, I eat. When I'm happy, I sleep. When I'm happy, what you do when you're happy. So the repeated phrase is when I'm happy, when I'm happy, when I'm happy. Okay, so this is more to modern type, a contemporary era, yeah, because it is free verse. It doesn't have to be rhyme. It just that it is some words are being repeated in the poem. Are you writing or you're not writing? Okay. Do we have people who share it in the chat box already, or Asni?
Not yet, but Amalia Christina is raising hand.
Yes, Amelia.
Amalia,
Christina, you would like to share?
Assalamualaikum. I'm really sorry. I'm having a sore throat, but well, I don't know.
Never mind. We can listen to you, even though you have a sore throat.
I don't know if this is anaphoric. Find love around you. The thing we always do. Finding love within you should be the first thing to do.
So which words are being repeated?
Finding love.
Finding love. Okay, say again. Finding love. Can you recite your poetry again? Finding love.
Is it okay for Chin or Asni to read the poem?
Okay. Asni, okay, please.
Yeah.
Can you do the honor to read the poem?
It's in the chat box.
Okay. I'm looking for it. Wait.
After Encik Azlan Abdul Rahman.
Oh, after Encik Azlan. Okay. One of the earliest. Sorry, I cannot find it yet. Encik Azlan. Oh, okay. All right. Find love around you, the thing we always do. But finding the love within you should be the first thing to do. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all.
Okay. So the repeated is find love, finding love. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Can we have others? Other poems? Do we have others, Asni?
Sorry, Natasha Zuhaimi, she's raising hand.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to try and recite my poem, but I can't open my video. Is that okay?
Okay. Never mind. Okay.
All right.
As long as you can
It's
share it with us.
Yeah, it's in the chat box actually.
All right.
Yeah,
Would like to recite it yourself?
Yeah, I will try to recite it.
Okay, good.
So, are you sleeping comfortably? I'm ashamed of myself for chasing unnecessary things. I'm ashamed of myself for assuming my task is greater. I am ashamed of myself for not being able to empathize deeply. Truly, I'm ashamed for not being grateful.
Okay, so the repeated is I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed, it's being repeated, right? In every line you have I'm ashamed. But are you ashamed of being here? Not, right? And you're not to be. I hope you're not ashamed to share your poetry with us. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. It is a good one. Okay, I think you can write more to it. Put maybe those ashamed sounds a little bit negative, but in the end, perhaps you can insert a few positive lines and make it a wonderful poem so that your poetry doesn't seem to be all negative. Okay.
Thank you very much for the feedback.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's do we have other or would like to is it okay if
we have one more Siri.
All
Siti
right.
Sharina.
Okay, before I proceed, let's hear one more. And a poem.
Well, this I wrote based on my own personality because I'm an ambivert, so
Okay.
it falls between extrovert and introvert.
All
So there's
right.
a lot of confusion regarding my personality. So I wrote
Okay.
this poll. Right. So they say I'm not me when jolly. They say I'm not me when sulky. They say I'm not me when bitchy. I say I am me. So let just me be.
All right. Okay. Okay. So your last line is something positive about you, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Metaphor. All right. Metaphor is a comparison which directly relates one thing to another unrelated thing. Okay. So let's try to experiment with this type of poem. Okay. So many songwriters or many lyricists or many poets love to use metaphor to make personal experiences more universal and to make it connected strongly with a listener or a reader. Okay, so a metaphor is created to establish connection between two things, or a metaphor can also use to reinforce some idea or concept. Okay, I don't know whether you're a fan of Michael Bublé. I am a fan. Okay, if you listen to Michael Bublé's song, Everything lyric, he compares a lot of things to his wife. Okay. Okay, Michael Bublé used his song, Everything, to tell his wife what she means everything, that she means everything to him. Okay, he compares her to multiple things. You can listen to this. You can later you can go to YouTube yourself. You can type Michael Bublé Everything lyric. Okay. So in the lyric, in the song lyric, you can see that what she said about his wife, you're a falling star, you're a getaway car, you're the line in the sand when I go too far. You are the swimming pool. He even compared his wife to a swimming pool. Okay, to see, this is to show that the wife is actually everything to him. Okay, so the comparison, maybe for us, who are, for some who are non-poetry lovers, they may think that, apa lah, okay, you comparing your wife to your swimming pool. But for him, maybe it is something else. Why he compare it to a swimming pool, he must have a reason for that. Okay? All right. So if you listen to Taylor Swift's song, okay, Taylor Swift's song, Rats, okay, would you like to listen to this song, or should I click to this YouTube video? Is it okay if you want to listen? Do you want to listen to it, or it doesn't matter if I don't click to this YouTube video of Taylor Swift? You want to listen or you don't want to? I'm asking the audience. You want to listen or you don't want to listen? Should I click the YouTube video or should I not click the YouTube video? I just want to show you the metaphors used in Taylor Swift's song, and the song chosen by me, the title is Rats. So in this song, Taylor Swift used a lot of metaphors. Okay, I think I would like to share this with you.
Yes, please do, Kak Syahri.
Okay, I'm going to, I still have to stop sharing, stop presenting. Okay, now I will share the YouTube video with you. Taylor Swift song. Hold on, yeah, I'm going to find the song. Rat. Okay, I'm going to play the song now. What I would like you to do is try to listen to the song. Actually, it is more than a metaphor. There are many more to Taylor Swift's song, the title Rat. Okay.
Loving him is like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street. Faster than the wind.
Hold on, yeah. Uh-oh. Okay. So in the song just now, you listen to Taylor Swift mention repeatedly, loving him was red. Okay, the color red was used. Why do you think that she used the metaphor that loving you is red? Can you give me the answer? Why is the color red used in Taylor Swift's song? Why she said loving you is red? Okay, somebody. Okay, Asni, can you read the answers in the chat box?
Hot.
You can shout. You can shout the answer. Actually, you can just on your camera, on your mic, and answer me. Okay. So why do you think Taylor Swift said loving you is red? Why the color red?
So some of the answers Siti Rawat said because of it symbolizes hot and equals to passion, love, romance.
Okay. All right. The color red is something, right? It is very dynamic, very it is like very passionate. It is very, like you mentioned just now, it's hot. It is the color of romance. Okay, somebody said challenging, very brave. Okay, can you please keep reading the answer?
Yeah, by Fazmawati. Challenging and brave.
Challenging and brave. Okay.
Exciting.
Okay, somebody said loving you is red. Loving you is exciting. Okay. Red also symbolizes or the image of fun. Okay, the image of fun, exciting. Okay, glaring, obvious. Okay, somebody said glaring, obvious. Stop in the traffic light. All right. Okay, I'm gonna share now. All right. So loving him was red just now. You answered. Okay, everybody answered. Okay, so maybe in Taylor Swift's song, why she said loving him was red, the metaphor used here is red. She had patience for him. Okay, red could mean love, patience, affection, dedication, and devotion, and anger, or whatever that you have written in the chat box. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and she also said that loving him was blue. Why the color blue? Because blue, why the color blue? I remember there was one semester I entered a class, okay, and I noticed that some of the girls, not some, many of the girls that day, they were wearing blue baju kurung. The baju kurung was in blue color, okay, and then I said, everybody looks so blue today. Okay, everybody looks so blue today, okay. And then they did not understand my, of course, they did not understand the metaphor. Okay, blue, what I meant there, blue meaning sad. Okay, so loving him was blue. Sometimes in love, not only about happiness, sometimes you can also have sad episodes. Okay, in a relationship. So that's why she said, loving him was blue. Okay. And then she also mentioned loving him was dark gray. So what about the dark gray color? So it is a metaphor that Taylor Swift used when she lost him because she had sadness and was depressed. Okay, so colors can also be a metaphor to express your emotions and your feelings. Okay, like I would like to share with you, like my book. Okay, so my one of my poetry. The title of this book is The Colors of Love. Okay, The Colors of Love was actually my first poetry book. And in this book, I've written one poetry about feelings, emotions, and colors. Okay, love can be red, the color of sweetness, the color of strawberries, sour and sweet. It's not all about happiness. Red is not all about happiness. It can also be strawberry. Sometimes it's sweet. Sometimes it can also be sour. Okay, here, love can be blue. Love can be blue, the color of strength and coolness, not only about sadness, calmness, and the perfect skies. Okay, so the ability to understand metaphoric language can open the key to poetry of tremendous beauty. So if you use metaphoric language, people, when they read your poetry, they can see the beauty in your poetry. Okay. Can we look at this poetry, which I found in internet? It's not mine. It's written by somebody else. Okay. So in this poetry, if you read it, you do not know who is Mighty Oak. But if you read it, you ask yourself, who is strong and inspiring like a mighty tree? Okay, can you read it and try to tell me, who do you think the mighty tree is, which mentioned in this poem? Or maybe somebody would like to read it, would like to recite it aloud. If there is nobody, I have to call Asni again. Maybe you would like to volunteer, come on.
Volunteer.
Looking for volunteer. The poetry title is Mighty Oak.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Madam Sharina. Hi, Asni. Madam Sharina, my name is Nadia.
Hi,
and
Nadia.
I'm from UiTM Rembau.
Okay.
So I'm going to read a poem.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, there are some unknown words, but let me just try. All right, here we go. Stand tall, O mighty oak, for all the world to see. Your strength and undying beauty forever amazes me. Though storm clouds hover above you, your branches span the sky. In search of the radiant sunlight, you count on to survive. When the winds are high and restless, and you lose a limb or two, it only makes you stronger. We could learn so much from you. Okay, that's it.
It is a beautiful poem. It uses a metaphor of a mighty oak. So after you have read this poem, I would like to ask everybody, who do you think Mighty Oak is in this poem? Who is so strong and inspiring like Mighty Oak?
Mothers.
Okay, Mighty Oak can be mothers. Okay, so it is actually telling the readers about how strong or how inspiring a mother could be. Okay, so by using a metaphor, mighty oak. All right, now let us proceed. Okay, personification. Okay, I didn't ask you to write a metaphoric poem. Never mind. Okay, now let's do this personification poem. Okay, so firstly, let us learn what is personification. Okay, personification is when you give human attributes or human characteristics to the object that is being personified. You give a human character to a non-human, a non-living thing or a non-human. Okay, the objects are not human, and in many cases they are not even living things. Okay, but you give them human characteristics. Okay, so why poets use personification? It can be used to emphasize a point in your writing. Okay, it can be used to make a reader understand something you are trying to say. Personification is a way to add more description to your poem by giving human characteristics. And then sometimes personification used to create humor in writing. Okay, all right. Now, examples. The breeze. You know the breeze? Kiss my cheek. In reality, you feel the breeze, but the breeze never kisses your cheek. But in your poem, everything can be written. Okay, the breeze kissed my cheek. When I got home from campus, my four-legged son smiled at me. Okay, if in reality your cat smiled at you, I think you'll be screaming, hey, what happened here? Okay, it can be creepy also. But in poetry, if you use personification, your cat can smile, the blanket can wrap its arms around you, the sunshine dance through the trees, the chainsaw hum a tune. Okay. All right. Now, I would like to share this poem. The poem is a great presentation or personification because it makes winter seems human. Okay, in this poetry, it talks about a season, which is about winter, but it puts a human character into winter, into the season. So when you read, it makes winter sounds or seems like a human being. Okay, this poem is written by a fellow poet. The name is Olivia Cooker, one of the member in my one of my poetry website that I joined. So Olivia is one of the members there. Okay, so I borrowed her poetry to be shared for our webinar today. So do we have a volunteer to read this poetry? Can somebody volunteer? You read it and then try to look at how the personification is used in this poem. So do we have someone who like to recite this poetry?
We have Siti Sarida. She raised her hand.
Okay, Siti Sarida, thank you for willing to recite. Okay.
All right, okay, I'll start. Winter by Olivia Cooker. If winter were a person, she would be a girl with frosty hair. Winter would wear snow pants, snow boots, gloves, a hat, and a scarf. Winter would smell like hot chocolate and peanut butter and Hershey, his cookies baking in the oven. Winter would spend the day eating cookies and drinking hot cocoa by a lake. Winter would spend the night by sitting in the window in snow, waiting for morning so children would come out to play. Sorry.
Never mind. Okay, thank you so much, Sharida, for reciting the poem Winter. But if you read this poem, okay, Winter seems to be a human who could wear a pants and smell like chocolate, and then baking in the oven, and spend the day eating cookies, drinking hot cocoa, sitting in the snow waiting for morning. Okay, in the end, only you know that in winter you have all this snow. But actually, what Olivia is trying to express here is about what is the happening during winter. So the winter situation. So all these are happening during a winter season. Okay, but she is very clever in using personification so that when we read, a winter seems like a human, not like a season. Okay. All right. Other examples, yeah, you can say personification. You can say the stars wink at me. Okay, for example, like one night you're staring the sky, and then you notice the stars are winking at you. Then the book read itself to me. You are so lazy to read, and then until the book itself read to you. The tree whispered in the wind. The pencil wrote the words perfectly. The computer has a mind of its own. The car is screaming to be washed. And how lazy you are. You haven't been washing your car for many, many months until the car is screaming to be washed. And those cookies are calling my name. You are on diet. You don't want to eat cookies, but it is so tempting. The cookies are calling your name. Sharina, come and grab one. Okay, something like that. And the car danced on the wet road. Okay. In this poem, I Love Your Smile. You can, after listening to this poem, I would like you to tell me what are the elements of personification used in this poem. Okay, I would like to share with you the poem. It is not a very long one, it's a short one, but it has personification elements in it. Okay, I have to stop sharing first to share with you. I love your smile. Okay, I love your smile. Love your smile. Tell me if it is audible.
The sun starts to shine.
Okay, is it audible, Asni? Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I will play it again.
You said it.
When you smile, the sun starts to shine so bright. The flowers starts to bloom. The birds sing the sweetest songs. The dolphins clap their hands. The whole world cheer to the love. So honest, so true and pure. In your smile, you speak the words of love.
I play it
When
again.
you smile, the sun starts to shine so bright. The flowers starts to bloom. The birds sing the sweetest songs. The dolphins clap their hands. The whole world cheer to the love. So honest, so true and pure. In your smile, you speak the words of love. When you smile, the sun starts to shine so bright. The flowers starts to bloom. The birds sing.
Okay. So in that short poem, okay, the poet has used the element of personification. If you heard it carefully, heard the poem carefully, so can you tell me what are the personification elements used in the poem? Can you share the answers? Okay, I have to read. I think you have written something in the chat box, right? Bird sing, okay. The bird sing, dolphin clap hands. Okay, good, Nadia, from Nadia. And the whole world cheer. The whole world cheer with you. All right. So these are the personification elements used in that very short poem, but it tells about how you feel, the emotion of someone when you see somebody, or maybe the mother. It is not necessarily be your boyfriend or girlfriend. It can maybe your mother smiling. So when you see your mother is smiling at you, or when you see your mother smile, it seems like the whole world will cheer with you, or maybe the dolphin also clap their hands, or the bird sing with you. Okay, so those are the type of personification used in poetry. All right. Now I'm going to ask you to write personification poetry, type of poetry. Okay. All right. Would you like to experiment with personification? All right. So I have this template that I have shared here in the slide, but you can, if you want to do away with the template, you can write your own personification poem. Okay, but if you are if you want to use my template, you are most welcome. So line 1, you have to write, if I was a. Okay, if I was a, so you write name of thing, something. It is not a human, it's the non-living thing. Okay, and then where would you live? You have to answer this question. Where would you live? And then third line, what will you eat? And then line 4, what kind of work would you do? And where? And line 5, what would you do in your free time? You answer this question. And line 6, when would you be happy? Okay, so basically your personification poem must have 6 lines. When I said must have 6 lines in this webinar, it is not necessarily to be 6 lines. Okay, for a practice, try to have a 6-line poem. You can use my template. You have 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I will call you to recite your poem. Okay, everybody, all the best. Hi. Asni, do we already have a poetry in the chat box?
Um,
Not
we
yet.
have one, but by Lim Tak Hang, but it's like just one line.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they're still writing, actually.
Okay, all right. We give them some time.
Sherry, we have Nadia. She would like to try.
Okay, all right. So, Miss Nadia, can you recite your poem? Personification Poem by Nadia.
Okay, thank you, Sharina. My apologies if the words don't seem to work together, but here we go. If I was a cat, I would live in a shed. I would eat pate and mice. I would sleep till the side of night. I would sleep from night to day, and I know I have I have lived a good life.
Yay, that
Okay,
is
sorry.
that is a good one. Okay, good try. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nadia.
Thank you
Okay,
very
so
much.
you imagine yourself as a cat, and you have given human character to a cat. So the cat would do all the things that you mentioned just now, right? Okay, good, Nadia. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have others?
Yes,
Asni?
we have one more from Rosita.
Okay, all right, Rosita. Can you share with us?
If I was a flower, I'd be living in a beautiful garden. I replenish the soil, water, and sun. I will bloom in the garden. I will feed the bees with my honey, feeling happy when people enjoys my beauty.
Okay, all right. You can buy yourself flowers. Are you have you been inspired by Miley Cyrus song? Okay, so if you were flowers, you would live in a garden, okay? And I'm pretty sure that the garden would be a beautiful garden. Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing. So you have given personification, a human character to your flower. All right, good. Do we have others?
Yes, we have two more, but one from Abdul Azim.
All right. Okay, good. Can you share, please?
Hello.
Hello. Can you introduce yourself first before you recite your poem, Mr. Aziz?
My name is Abdul Azim Ahada, and I am an APB lecturer
Okay,
from
which?
UiTM Sarawak.
Oh, Sarawak. Okay,
Yeah.
all the way from Sarawak. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Okay, can you share with us?
Okay, so this is just an impromptu stuff. I don't really plan on it.
Never mind.
So I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
If I was a wine glass, I'll never be stored in a row for kisses on lips of sorrow on a bar counter full of mellow. I never had a free time, or everyone seems happily sipping their sorrows away. I was happy for the kisses, but are you?
Wow. Wow. Sounds so romantic in a mysterious way. Okay. I love your poem. Okay. Why don't you submit that one later when Puan Asni will give us a link later, why don't you submit that one? Or perhaps you would like to improvise it, add some more words to it. But it seems pretty good to me already. Encik Aziz?
I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll improvise somehow.
Yeah.
But it was an impromptu thing, so yeah.
But your impromptu thing seems to be like I mentioned just now, it is it sounds mysterious in its own way. Okay, so when people read it, we can feel the mystery. There is a mystery behind that wine glasses. Okay, thank you for sharing, Aziz. All right,
welcome.
Okay, we have another one, right, Asni?
Yes.
Okay.
Puan Siti Sharina.
Okay, Siti Sharina.
Okay, my last poem for today actually.
Don't say it's the last. We have more.
Okay, this is dedicated to my daily routine, workday routine. Alright.
Okay.
My morning is greeted by cheerful pearly whites. Afternoon crawls in with accusing eyes. Frustrated hands will start dancing the evening ritual. My fluffy bed loyally accompanies me for the night.
Wow, okay, that is a good one as well. Why don't you improvise it? Maybe you can add more words to it, make it longer a bit. Because just now you have written one stanza, maybe you can add another stanza or two more stanza to your poem, and you are ready to submit your poem today.
I will try.
Yeah, try, okay? You will never regret it. Okay, so thank you everyone for sharing your personification poem. Now, I would like to share with you my personification poem. Okay, if I was a pencil, I would live in a school, munching on words and paper after dancing all day on a notebook, sleeping soundly on weekends, waiting patiently for Monday when my student comes back and we write the best of poems. Okay, actually, I can't wait for my students to come back for the new semester next week. I think you are also feeling the same, or you still need more holidays. I don't know. All right. We are in the same situation. Okay, if we are from UiTM. Okay, so after we have done metaphor poem, personification poem, just now I would like to introduce to you one poetry technique. This is called blackout poetry. So blackout poetry is for you who always complain, how to write? I have no idea. Kak Sherry, you always have ideas to write. But I don't have anything to write. I have no inspiration. Okay, so this is to help those who have all this in your mind before you even pen down the words. Okay, so blackout poetry is always a technique which is effective to help writers who do not know how to begin or how to write, or who have no idea of what you want to write. Okay, so I always use this technique with my students, okay, to encourage them to just write short poetry to express their mind or to experiment with poetry in the class. Okay, so in blackout poetry, what you need is, you can always have William Shakespeare poetry. If you want to use, you can use poetry, you can use old book, you can use novel, you can use newspaper, story from a newspaper, you can use, actually, you can also use your article, the one you submitted in Scopus or journal. Okay, you use that paper, you black out or you blacken some words, and you only use some words that capture your interest, and then you will be surprised that actually your academic writing has turned into a creative writing. Okay? All you need is a text. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a text that I have prepared. But if you don't like my text, it's okay. You can also use your own, all right? And you will be surprised how creative you can be with that text, and then how funny it may sound, or it can be something illogical as well. It can be personal. It can also sound like so serious. Okay, you'll be surprised. Now, before I share with you the text, let me show you what blackout poetry will look like. Okay, imagine that you have a text in front of you. Okay, you don't have to read everything. You just have to skim. You have to skim through, And then you only highlight, if you have a highlighter, you highlight the words which capture your interests. Okay, highlight, highlight, highlight. Okay, to make meanings. And then the rest of the words that you don't want to use, is just blacken it. That's why it is called a blackout poetry. Okay, so for example, like this is an old text. So you highlighted some words and then it became a very short poetry. People passing in sleeping cities after hours of stillness, there is romance in the black hours. Okay, so let's have fun making a blackout poetry. Okay, so hold on. I just want to share with you one blackout poetry that I have done. I have prepared this last night. This is taken from a memoir of a person called Stevenson. Okay, so I came through and then I highlighted some words here. Okay, and then I blackened the unwanted words and it became a new poem. So from a memoir, it became a new poem. Okay, all right. So we did this analysis of the previous poem from the memoir. I would like you to experiment with this text. It is taken from a novel. The novel title is Colin. This is from chapter 1. Asni will share the word version in your chat box, so you can take it from there. Okay. So Asni, can you share it?
Okay.
All
One
right.
moment.
Asni will share it in the chat box, so you can use that template, not the template, the text. Okay. And then you have to skim what you need to do. You have to skim through, and then maybe you can see some words that capture your interest. You would like to highlight it. Okay. And then try to read the words, the one that you highlighted. Does it sound funny? Does it sound like a poem? Does it sound illogical? It doesn't matter if it is illogical. Poems are mostly illogical. Okay, can also be something serious, like I mentioned before. Okay, and then you blacken out the unwanted words. Okay, and then you'll be surprised that you have actually written one poem out of this old novel. This old novel called Colin, from chapter 1. I took the excerpts from chapter 1. Okay. Have you shared with them, Asni?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So everybody, can you try to experiment with your blackout poetry? Use this Colin chapter 1 as your text. You'll be surprised of the end result. It can be a funny poem. It can be something that is not from the real text. Okay, from the real text is about Pauline Hancock, and maybe it become another story. It's a new story or a new chapter on its own in your poem. If you are ready, you tell us. You can share it in the chat box, or you can also, I will invite you also to recite it. Is it a tough task? Is the task very tough for you? I don't think so. It is simple only. Okay, Asni, are we ready? Asni, are you there? Are we ready?
Oh, I'm not, but we have one from Siti Rabah.
Okay, all right. Okay, we give them I think 1 or 2 minutes.
This is something I'm not familiar with, Kak Sherry. So
okay, it's okay. But this is actually very easy to do. I have done this with students. Okay, given them an old text, and then after that they will make it modern. They will turn it into a modern poetry from an old text. And then after you have actually written that, sometimes you feel like amazed of yourself if you could actually write a poetry based on this. Okay, this is like if you don't have ideas, or you don't have for example, like students, they don't have sufficient vocabulary to write a poetry, so I encourage them to use text or from a previous poem, from an old poetry or old storybooks or old novel. So they can use this as a platform for them to write a new poetry. So this is like a practice for them until they become experts on how to write on their own. So this blackout poetry idea is actually very interesting. You can try with many texts. Afterward, we will be surprised of the poem written, the new poem written by our friends Jay from this Colin chapter 1. Okay, we have 1 more minute. Come on.
Okay, guys, Sherry, we are starting to have answers from our audience. And just in case any of you miss attendance link, it has been shared, yeah, in the chat box. The link for attendance.
Asni, later can you also share the link in the WhatsApp group so that people who missed the link in the Google Meet can also
sure.
also use the link. Okay, so do we have participants who have actually completed the blackout poetry?
Siti Raba'ah, Kak Sherry.
Okay, can Siti Raba'ah, would you like to share with us, or would like to have Asni to read it?
Okay. I can. Inshallah, I'll try.
All right.
I'll try.
You tell us which words you highlighted, okay, and then you recite that poetry.
Okay. I highlighted dark purple. A dark purple.
Okay.
A dark purple.
In line 2.
Yeah, bruise. Okay, and then that.
Okay.
That, and then hurt. Hurt in line 4, I think.
Line 4, yes.
And then I terus skip
bawah and then
skip sampai ke bawah, I think.
Alright.
With white frightened eyes.
All right.
And then to the last line, but frankly, yeah, ada in one of the lines to it, but frankly, it wasn't worth worrying about. So may I read it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Have you given a new title for your poem?
Oh no, I haven't.
It's okay. You just read it.
Okay. A dark purple bruise that hurt, with wide frightened eyes, but frankly, it wasn't worth worrying about.
Okay, all right. So your poetry means something, right? It is about the bruise that you have, and you don't have to worry about the bruise, even though, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So can you see that this blackout poetry is effective for you to start writing a new poetry? It is not it is from an old text, but you have actually written one good poetry out of it. Okay. Okay, thank you for sharing. Do we have others who would like to share?
We have another one from Nadia.
Okay, come on, Nadia. Can you tell us which words you have highlighted and then recite a poetry?
Okay, hello. I think mine is more like a summary of the story.
Never mind.
Too short.
Never mind.
Okay, so I just took Colin's name. Again. Colin's name because it was about him, experiencing bullying, I think. So I took Colin Hancock, suspected. It wasn't worth worrying about. So Colin Hancock is the first, the first 2 words in this particular paragraph, right? And then I moved to the word suspected because despite, all of the things that he, had thought of, at the end, I think he thought about it twice, which was all of the things that he had been experiencing were not worth worrying about. So I took the last sentence. It wasn't worth worrying about. So I was like, blacken out the whole paragraph. So I just took the first line and the last line long, and with the one word, the word suspected, I think it within one of the lines here, and that's it for my summarized poem.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, thank you for sharing, Nadia.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
I just would like to share with you that you don't have to get influenced with the old text because the intention is to create a new one. Okay, so when you when the first time you skim through the old text, you don't get influenced by the story in the first text in order for you to create a new poem. Okay, the intention is just to use the vocabulary in the text in order for you to be able to create a new one. Okay, but don't get yourself be influenced from the first story that you have read from the old text. Okay, now try to look at mine. Okay, so I highlighted, this is my Colin story, chapter 1 from this old text. So what have I written? So I highlighted the word the bruise, deepen, the pain, hurt. Others stare with frightened eyes. He doubted. And then 2 speak, female suspected or him. And I blackened the others. So my new poem title is The Suspect. Okay, so this is my poem. The bruise deepened, the pain hurts. Others stare with frightened eyes. He doubted to speak. All females suspected him. So this is a new story. It's not Colin's story anymore. Okay, so this is one of the technique that you can do as a practice for yourself, or you can also share this with your students. Okay, in order for them, maybe you want to do this poetry experiment in your class, you can do this. Very simple one. Okay, so we move on to imagery. Thank you for those who shared just now. Okay, imagery is used in poetry. So imagery is actually you use your 5 senses. Okay, I think we are almost time, so I'm going to rush. Okay, so imagery is about using the 5 senses in order for you to create your poetry. So we have visual imagery, the use of sight. We have auditory imagery, the use of sound. Or olfactory imagery, the use of smell, the sense of smell. Gustatory imagery, the sense of taste. And tactile imagery, or the sense of touch. So some poets use imagery to write the poem, so that when readers read the poem, they can feel it, they can actually smell it, they can actually have that picture in their mind. Okay, so good poets really good in writing imagery. Okay, because they want to have that when the readers read, they want the readers to have the image in the mental, they have the mental picture, so that the poet will come alive. Okay, so this is one example of a good poetry, imagery poem. So when you want to write imagery poem, you have to know a lot of adjectives. You have not only know, but you have to be able to use a lot of adjectives in order to describe the object or the subject in your poem. Okay, for example, this poem is about making a bed, making this bed. Okay, so Ample make this bed with owl in neat weight till judgment great, excellent and fair. Be it mattress straight, be it pillow round, let no sunrise yellow noise interrupt this ground. So this is actually a very simple poem, but it uses imagery. So in imagery poem, like I mentioned just now, you have to use a lot of adjectives in order to describe it and in order for the readers to feel it, to listen to it, and to have that image in their mind. Okay, so we skip the imagery poem slides now. I just want you to look at this picture. I know you're hungry already. That's why I'm showing you this cinnamon bun. Okay, so if you look at this cinnamon bun, you may imagine the smell of it. Okay, you may imagine the taste of it. So you may imagine the size of it. Okay, you may imagine the texture, or then maybe if you eat it, how good does it taste? So you can be creative in writing something based on a picture. So in imagery poem, normally a poet would capture a picture, would capture an image, and then from that image, they try to use their 5 senses to write a poem. Okay. My earlier plan was for you to write a poem about the cinnamon bun, but I think we don't have time. I'm going to skip this. Okay, this is actually a short poem about that cinnamon bun just now. The smell of grandma's cinnamon buns, chocolate flake, everybody's favorite sweet topping. This is a very short one. Okay. We use the 5 senses, as I mentioned just now. So this poem used the 5 senses. And this poem, the magnolia tree is in full bloom. I see it from my living room. The flowers are pretty pink. I look at it, then I think. The petals lying on the grass remind me that soon time will pass. The lovely blooms will all fall, and then it won't look good at all. So it explained about the magnolia tree, okay? And this one, dreams, is actually using imagery. Hold on, yeah. A conceptual image. Okay, conceptual image meaning you don't see the image, but you have the image in your poem is about a dream. So you can have that concept idea. You can see, but you cannot see dream with your eyes, but you feel it. Okay. All right. And another poem you have you use simile. Okay, we use simile in poems. So many poets also use simile in the poems. So they use the word like or the word as. Okay, for example, if you listen carefully to Taylor Swift's song just now, Red, the first lyric says, "Loving you is like driving a Maserati." So loving you is like driving a Maserati. Loving him is like driving a Maserati. So why did Taylor Swift say that loving somebody is like driving that car? Because if you have a new car, you will feel excited, you feel proud. Okay, so in that song, Taylor Swift used simile. So you can have simile in your poem to express your feelings or description or experience about that object. Okay, so that people, when they read the poem, they can see actually vividly about that, the subject or the object that you discuss in your poem. Okay. So let me share with you. Okay, for example, this poem, A True Friend. So this poem use simile. A friend is like a star. A friend is like gold. A friend is like an angel. Okay, so this poem use simile. So you can have a poem using simile. You can have poem using a metaphor, or you can have mixture of simile and metaphor. Okay, and I actually have an activity that you have to write a poem about yourself, but I don't think so we have the time, so I also need to skip this one. This actually would be very interesting. It's about yourself, and I've given you this template here. So because I didn't have the time to let you share, I would like to share with you, this is my own poem about I am. Okay, so I am creativity, a free spirit, I'm passion, yearning, sensuality, I'm the sound of roaring laughter, I'm the taste, feeling of sand beneath bare feet, I am movement, so everything about yourself. Okay, vivid colors, I love art, poetry, I sense, I feel, I'm everything I wanted to be. Okay, so this is my poetry, I am. So another technique is about symbolism. There are so many things to talk about poetry, it seems like. Symbolism. Symbolism can take many forms. You can use metaphor, simile, allegory. You can have mixture of this in your symbolism poem. Okay, so this is a poetry technique. You utilize object, people, or situation to represent a larger idea. Okay, we look at the example. For example, you use red rose in your poetry. Red rose to represent love or passion. In your poetry, you use a broken mirror to symbolize bad luck. I remember one of the poetry contributors in our webinar 1, she used a broken umbrella that symbolized a failed marriage. So symbolism is to use an object or something that that explain about the situation that you have. Okay, for example here, rainbow represents hope, dove with an olive branch, symbol of peace. Okay, and okay, I skipped this one also. But in this poem, short poem, The Rain, actually, if you read this poem, it has personification, it has imagery, it also have the element of symbolism in this short poem. Okay? All right, so let's be creative to write your own poetry. Please allow the creative side of your brain to take over when you are bored or when you have free time. So we never know the beauty that will come out of it. Okay, so this is my also favorite poem for sunrise. In this poem, I tried to use all the elements in the poetry. Okay, if you want to know more or you want to read, you can just go to Hello Poetry. Click Hello Poetry, Sharina, Saad. You can see all my poetry there. Okay, I just would like to share with you, I also use poetry in my classes because sometimes we have students who are afraid to speak, who have fear of public speaking. So by giving them short poetry, I think they will conquer the fear of standing in front of the class and do their presentation. Or it can also help them to pronounce the words. Okay, so I have students who recited poems. Okay, and okay, I would like to tell you, in the world of poetry, it can be magical. That's why my poetry page is called the Magical Words of Poetry. You feel the magic after you have seen it published in a book, in printed version. And if you have the book, if you display it, you will feel proud because you have your poetry in one of those pages. All right, so before I end my presentation today, I would like to tell you that poetry is not only for pleasure or for having fun or for the fun of it. Actually, you can also use your poetry to transform yourself or transform other people. Okay, what I mean by transformation is that if you read other people's poetry, for example, you are feeling very, you lack inspiration. So you read inspirational poetry, or you want to be, you feel like very low that day, you read, and then maybe it can transform you to be a happy person, a more cheerful person, or more considerate person. Or if you read a poetry about kindness, maybe perhaps you can be kinder in the future. Okay, so actually, I have found this website. This person, she actually shared my poetry, "Love Me Before I Die," to give an inspirational talk to in her class. Okay, and to also to the public. She has uploaded this video in this website. Okay, the poem title, "Love Me Before I Die," the one I mentioned earlier. Okay, so she used this poem as inspirational in her inspirational talk because it is about humanity, it is about kindness, it is about if you want to do good or if you want to be kind, you do it now. Don't wait until later. Okay, for in this poem, the person wanted to do something for another person, but it is too late. So don't wait until it is too late to do something good. So that is the message behind this poem. So when she used my poem to give inspirational talk to other people, I feel like very proud of it. So actually your poem can transform other people as well, not only yourself. Okay. So if you want to write poetry and if you don't know where to promote your poetry, you can go to my website here. Okay, you can see me on all these websites. Okay, you can join the online website. It is free. You don't have to pay anything. Okay. All right. And another question that been asked to me: can you be rich by writing a poetry? Somebody asked me, can you be rich by writing a poetry? I thought I could be rich by writing a poetry. That's why I published my poetry in books. But then it is, I think in our country, it is, I read the comments, okay, and then most of the poetry lovers or most of the poets said that if you live in countries like in the UK or in the US, you can sell your books, or you can be rich if you're so serious about it. But I think most of us write for the fun of it, or maybe you can share, or maybe you can use it in your class, or you can benefit other people. So here I am, okay, because I love poetry so much. So I'm not making money out of my poetry, so I just share with you the little knowledge that I have and encourage people to write poetry, so that if we have publication, we can publish together. Okay, for example, like Voice of the Soul Volume 1, and now we are going to produce Voice of the Soul Volume 2, so that all of us can contribute our poem and write and share in this book, and we all can benefit from writing and sharing. Okay, so do we have any question? I think Asni will share the link with you. You can submit your poem in Volume 2, Voice of the Soul Volume 2. We have some rules. This time we have some rules. So if you click the link later, this is the link Asni will share. Asni, can you share the link in the chat box?
Okay, Kak Sherry.
Okay, so in this Google form, if you are interested to submit your poem, you can also improvise the one that you have shared during this webinar, or maybe you want to create a new one based on the sharing today. Create a new poem, and you can submit your poem to our VOS, or Voice of the Soul Volume 2. You can use this link. If you click the link, you can see all the rules that you have to follow. And this time around, we have improvised Voice of the Soul by inviting not only lecturers from UiTM, we are also inviting lecturers from other institutions. And we also allow, if you would like to write poetry in other languages, not only in English, okay? And if you are interested to be editor, you can just contact me or contact Puan Asni. So we will invite you to be editor of the VOS Volume 2. And submission is until 31st of March. So hurry up and submit your poem. And this time we open our submission to 3. You can submit more than one poetry. So because we have many themes there, many themes in the poem, you can know the themes once you click the link, yeah? So you can see the themes, and you can submit one poetry, at least 3. You choose 3 themes that capture your interest, and then you can write 3 poems and submit to the 3 themes. Okay, so I would like to say thank you to everyone who joined today, and thank you for everyone who shared your poetry, and thank you for reciting your poetry, and thank you for joining. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. And this is for the love of poetry. And I believe if you don't like poetry, you won't be here. Okay. And I would like to wish you happy new semester. And I would like to wish you happy Ramadan. So everybody, thank you so much. See you again when I see you, inshallah, in the future. So if you have questions, you can ask me now before we end the session.
We do have a question from Nadia. Since you write poems, have you considered publishing your poem in an anthology?
Yeah, actually, I have 2 published poems in an anthology. Yep, I did publish in an anthology before. Yes, Nadia. The answer is yes.
Okay, so I guess any more questions before we end our session for today?
I think we should take a photo together.
Okay, sure, no problem. I'll do that later. But can I make a closure first?
Yeah, do we
Okay.
have question? No more question, is it?
I don't see any in the chat box except for one from Nadia just now. So no more. Okay, so if there is no more question from the audience, I guess that is it for today. Thank you very much, Puan Sharina, for your session. I've learned a lot. I've learned something in the first volume, Voice of the Soul. Now, still, I learned a lot. Also, thank you, APB and ILD UiTM Kedah for the opportunity. And for everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. And do wait for updates regarding Volume 2 publication. I'll be emailing you soon, okay? So you better get your pen. We don't use pen nowadays, right? So you can just open your Word document and start writing your poem. Okay, when you are ready, you can submit. Okay, so that is it. So let's take a photo. I hope everyone can.
Yeah. Can you kindly on your camera so that we can have a good photo? You can post it in your Instagram later.
Okay, ready? No more?
Hold on. Wait, I'm gonna call people.
Okay. Hi, Miss Ho.
Miss Ho, thank you for joining.
Yeah.
All right.
Lovely session, Sharina.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks
very much,
everyone.
everyone.
Selamat
Happy
menyambut
teaching.
Ramadan. Happy writing. Do submit your paper, yeah.
Thank you, Kak
Thank
Sherry.
you.
Okay.